Think about a habit you have that you absolutely despise. Maybe you apologize for things that aren't your fault. Or perhaps you push people away the moment they get too close. You tell yourself you'll stop, but like an invisible thread, something pulls you back. Most of us think we are the captains of our own ships. We believe our conscious thoughts are making the decisions. But Sigmund Freud suggested that what you see on the surface is just a tiny fraction of the truth. He believed your personality wasn't built today by your choices. It was coded into you decades ago in moments you don't even remember. And if you want to change who you are, you have to look at the code hidden in the dark.
To understand why you do what you do, Freud says we have to look at the iceberg principle. Imagine an iceberg floating in the middle of a dark, freezing ocean. The tip of the iceberg, the part you can see above the waterline, is your conscious mind. This is your current awareness, the words I'm saying, and the thoughts you're having right now. But just beneath the surface is the preconscious. This is your mental waiting room, things you aren't thinking about now but could recall instantly, like your childhood phone number or what you ate for breakfast yesterday. However, the massive, heavy base of the iceberg hiding deep underwater, that is your unconscious mind. Freud argued that this is where the real you lives. It's a reservoir of feelings, thoughts, urges, and memories that are outside of your awareness. Most of these are unpleasant, pain, anxiety, or conflict. Even though you can't see the bottom of the iceberg, it's what dictates the direction the tip moves. Your personality isn't just what you think, it's the result of what you've buried.
Imagine you're walking through a store and you see something you want, but can't afford. A part of you feels an almost primal urge to just take it. I want it, and I want it right now. But then another voice kicks in, cold, judgmental, and loud. That's wrong. You're a bad person for even thinking that. What would your mother say? Suddenly, you're paralyzed in the middle of the aisle, caught between an impulse and a lecture. You feel a strange, buzzing anxiety in your chest as you try to negotiate with yourself. Maybe I can save up for it, you think, trying to find a middle ground. Freud believed this internal static isn't a glitch in your brain. It is the permanent state of being human. You are not one single person. You are a battlefield of three competing forces. And the you that shows up to work or dates is just the one trying to keep the peace.
Freud structured this internal battlefield into three distinct players. First, there's the id. Think of the id as a newborn baby. It's pure instinct, drive, and I want it now. It operates on the pleasure principle, seeking immediate gratification for every urge. The id doesn't care about logic, morality, or even reality. It only cares about tension and release. Then there's the superego. This is your internal voice of your parents, your teachers, and your culture. It's your moral compass, but it's often an extremist. The superego doesn't just want you to be good, it wants you to be perfect. It uses guilt as its primary weapon, punishing you for even having bad thoughts. Finally, stuck in the middle is the ego. The ego operates on the reality principle. Its job is to be the mediator, the diplomat trying to satisfy the id's hungers without alerting the superego's police force. Your personality is essentially the unique way your ego handles this constant negotiation. If your id is too strong, you might be impulsive or selfish. If your superego is too strong, you might be rigid, judgmental, and plagued by guilt. The ego is the thin line of sanity holding the two monsters apart.
Think back to your very first memory of feeling truly embarrassed, or the first time you felt a deep sense of pride after finishing a task. At the time, those moments felt small, just part of being a kid.
But Freud would argue those were the bricks being laid for your entire future. He believed that the you sitting here today was essentially finished by age 6. It's a heavy thought, isn't it? The idea that your capacity for intimacy, your work ethic, and your neuroses were decided before you could even tie your shoes. You might feel like you're making independent choices as an adult, but often you're just playing out a script written in a nursery or a playground. We spend our lives trying to solve problems we didn't even know we were creating back then.
Freud's most controversial idea was that personality develops through 5 psychosexual stages. He believed that as we grow, our libido, or life energy, focuses on different parts of the body. First is the oral stage, where a baby interacts with the world through the mouth. Then comes the anal stage, focusing on control and potty training, followed by the phallic stage, the latency period, and finally, the genital stage. The key concept here is fixation. If you experience too much frustration or too much indulgence during a stage, you get stuck. For example, if a child struggles during the oral stage, Freud argued they might grow up to have an oral fixated personality. As adults, they might smoke, overeat, or be sarcastic, literally using their mouths to release that old, stuck energy. Or, if the anal stage was too rigid, they might become anal retentive, obsessively tidy and controlling. Your current quirks aren't random. To Freud, they're scars from where your development hit a speed bump.
Have you ever caught yourself yelling at a friend for being too sensitive, only to realize much later that you were the one who was actually hurt? Or maybe you've had a bad day at work, and instead of telling your boss how you felt, you went home and picked a fight with your partner over something tiny, like the dishes. In those moments, you aren't being fake. You are being protected. Your mind has a built-in security system designed to keep the scary stuff away from your conscious thoughts. Freud believed that looking at the truth directly is often too painful for the human ego, so we develop shields, we build walls, we convince ourselves of a lie so we don't have to face a devastating truth. But those shields, while they keep us safe, are also what keep us stuck in the same cycles for years.
To survive the pressure of the id and the guilt of the superego, the ego uses defense mechanisms. These are mental strategies that distort reality so you don't feel overwhelmed by anxiety. One of the most common is repression. This is when your mind simply deletes a traumatic memory or an unacceptable urge from your conscious awareness. It's not gone. It's just pushed down into the basement of the iceberg. Then there is projection. This is when you take a feeling you have, like being jealous of a friend, and you project it onto them. Instead of admitting you are jealous, you tell everyone, I think they are jealous of me. There's also displacement, where you take your anger out on a safer target. You can't yell at your boss, so you go home and yell at the dog or your younger brother. And finally, sublimation, which Freud considered the healthy defense. This is when you take a dark or aggressive urge and turn it into something productive, like intense exercise or creating art. Your personality is, in many ways, a collection of these shields. We aren't just what we choose to show, we are defined by what we choose to hide.
So, was Freud right? Today, many of his specific ideas, like the psychosexual stages, are seen as a product of his time. We've moved past some of the more extreme theories he proposed in Victorian Vienna, but the core of his message remains more relevant than ever. The idea that we aren't fully in control of our own minds. The realization that our childhood isn't just a collection of memories, but a blueprint. And the understanding that the things we hide from ourselves are often the things that drive us. Freud didn't just give us a theory of personality, he gave us a mirror. Even if the mirror is a bit distorted, it forced us to look at the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Because once you understand the secret code of your past, you finally get the chance to write a new ending for your future.